don't even mind it. We going live in, let me see.
Bro, this looks classy.
We live now. Uh-oh, watch out. So we got...
Hold on. I don't normally drink, but when I drink out of a wine glass. I don't normally drink, but when I drink.
What's good, y'all? How y'all doing tonight? It's your man Donald King over here, kicking it with my brothers. Hopefully I'm in frame. I hope I'm in frame. I don't know if I'm in frame. Nico! She might be asleep. She not asleep?
She left us. Okay,
well that's all good. No, it's strange. Anyway, y'all, welcome to a special Saturday episode of... I don't even know what I call my podcast. It always goes with calm down. I have... Okay, I have the crew. The brothers.
You bro. You ain't even got to lean.
Okay, I ain't got to lean. Hey.
Really? Lean back.
Lean with it. Rock with it. Lean with it. Rock with it. Yo, tonight we have libations. We have libations, and they're fun. We're having fun. Anyway, guys, check this out, man. This is the crew. I done known these dudes for years. And man, this is an honor and a privilege to introduce you to these fine gentlemen right here. If y'all wouldn't mind going down around the way and then introducing yourselves, please.
Start with me. My name is Adrian. I don't always drink, but when I drink from a mason jar.
He does, like a champion. That is how it's done, people. Like a champion, like a mason jar.
If you're on Facebook, then I'm Donald D.
Donald D in the house, in the place to be.
I'm James C. I own a radio station called DLGV.
DLGV? Look it up. Act like you know what we're talking about.
It's a radio.
And simplistic of all, just Gabriel.
It's just Gabriel.
Just Gabriel.
I am Donald King, obviously. It's like if y'all tune in on a regular basis, then you know that this is the platform I choose to speak from. Anywho, you know what? As always, shooting from the hip. I don't know how this is going to go. I don't think these gentlemen know how it's going to go. We're just going to let an organic flow of discussion ensue. And wherever the conversation goes, it goes. But I am very happy to introduce you to people who I think are exceptional people for different reasons. But actually, I'm going to start with this right here. If you guys remember a couple of podcasts ago, I was talking about a gentleman who I was with when we witnessed a car accident. Two gentlemen I was with. I was with this man right here, and I was with this man right here. This man was the first to take off towards the danger. The first to take off running towards the danger in a selfless attempt to help someone who was in need. From that moment, me and this dude, man, we've been kicking it regularly. You know why? I fuck with brave people. Period. I was actually mad that he started running before me. But it was interesting because it's like it lets you know when someone doesn't prioritize themselves to a degree that they can't think or act above the level of self-interest. When you are around people who are like that, you cling to them, you uplift them, you celebrate them because they're rare. That being said, we are imbibed. We're gonna have fun with this shit, goddammit. I'm not psychic, I can't see the future. Don't judge me. Darkness, everybody. Evil.
You can't do that.
Yo. I might get the alcohol sweats again. I'm not psychic, I can't see the future. But yo, man, what's real funny is 4 of the 5 of us were raised Jehovah's Witness, right? We all went to the same or in and around the same halls, and we had different experiences in there. But what's really interesting is I started to have this conversation with Candace on our podcast, but we ended up getting cut short. And it's something I wanted to circle back to, but with a few more friends who actually have a more rounded experience within that particular, I don't know, lane or category. And you have to forgive me as I struggle to find the word there. Here's the deal. A lot of people go through the Jehovah's Witness faith system, and they come out of it, and the only thing that they're able to do is bash it and talk down on it and tear it down, and oh, they did me wrong, oh, I'm hurt, oh, poor me. But the funny part about it is the majority of the solid people who I know right now, the majority of the people who I know that are trustworthy, who have any measure of goodness in them that again performs above the level of self-interest, the majority of them that I know and interact with now happen to have a similar upbringing. So the reason why I even mention that is because I want to do something different. Now, granted, I was never baptized into the faith system, but I grew up in it. Something I want to do with a lot of people who were, with people who were or who are ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, is talk about all the good things that we actually took away from that faith system. I'm going to start this, and I'm going to just pass it around, and I want everybody to just sort of chime in. And James, even though I don't know if you were raised in that particular faith system, I'm sure that it's like you were raised in or around a faith system, so it's like, you could possibly have something to contribute in that way as well.
Yeah.
Something that I really took away from that faith system that made me a better person, and there are a lot of things actually, but one of the main things that I can think of that comes to mind immediately is discipline. Like, even though I did not like the format and the frame in which I had to be forced to speak in front of crowds of people, or to go up to strangers I didn't know and talk about things I wasn't 100% sold on myself, that faith system put me in the way of knowing how to step out and be scared, but still say it anyway. How that transitions into my life path right now, I mean, being what I am, being what I purport to be, 9 times out of 10, it's like, you know what? Nobody doubts me more than I doubt myself.
That's right.
And I have to sit here and I have to step into it anyway and be like, hey, this is what I see. So far, I'm fortunate in that everything that I purport to see has stood up to the best scrutiny that I can find, and the best scrutiny that I'm possibly going to find, because I'm looking for the best always. But it's like, you know what? Step. Even when you're not sure there's ground beneath you, and trust in something bigger than you, and that is the main takeaway I got from that experience. So, even though I do not hold the values of the faith system, even though I don't believe the things that they believe, what I took away from it in terms of character development, I'm only grateful for. So even when I went through my little atheist phase and all those other things, in defiance to the religion I was raised in, when you get a little bit of distance and perspective and some emotional maturity behind you, you sit back and you look at all the ways in which you were enriched, and you look back with a sense of gratitude, like, you know what, I didn't like how you did it, but you made me better, thank you. What you got?
I got many things. It's funny you start off with this conversation because I just said something to my dad, texting him today, about thanking him for what him, because it wasn't just him, it was my mom, because my mom was in first. But what they did for me made me the person that I am. Not just because we're talking about the discipline aspect. Yeah, I got that.
Right.
That was something that was very. I was at one time, a lot of people were calling me a super Jehovah's Witness.
Ooh.
because I was that much disciplined.
Right.
But it's like, what I have, what I learned, the aspects that I learned, and I mean, there's a lot of areas that I use now in a secular way, and just in life in general, just being able to relate to people. That because of I was a witness, it helped me in it, and then that's I think sometimes I've talked to a lot of people who are ex-Jehovah's Witnesses,
Right.
and I'm not mad at them through their struggles because their struggles of frustration. I went through those.
Right.
I went through those. I was angry. I was frustrated. But then I had to take a self look. I had to take a look at it and just like, okay, now I'm done with it. Now how I was angered. What's the positive in it? And it's just like, I look at all the positive things that or what they did, and just like, cause I used to argue with my parents. I used to be fussing and yelling at them. And then it's like when I start looking at the positive, you know what? I apologized. Because it's like they did so much for me, and it's just like it's not about because the process of it's like being a diamond. We all have went through that process of being pressed, crushed, almost to this deep dark place where you think there is nothing.
Right.
But through darkness, when you in darkness, that's when you grow. I mean, you look at these trees, and that's what they do. They grow in the dark. And so for me, I can't. I don't have anything. When I hear people saying bad stuff before them, it's just like, okay, tell me something good. Because it's like at the end of the day, for what? For what? It's like at the end of the day, there's something bad. There's something bad in everything I've ever dealt with. But when I look at the positive of all that is done, I mean, I don't have one specific thing, but it's like, but I have many things, and it's just like it makes me so grateful. And it's just like, even now, when we talk about the scriptures, because I'm actually taking the time to study. That's what the main thing is: study.
Study.
They gave me the importance of studying and constantly studying, researching. Going back, looking. When somebody tells you something, question it.
Thorough.
Yes.
Be thorough.
Go dig deeper.
Dig deep.
It's just like and find the truths are out there, but only if you go and continue to dig. So if anything I can say I can take from all that is that study. Study was really important.
Discipline. Study.
Go ahead. Okay. Hey, listen, man. For me personally, being a Jehovah's Witness, growing up a Jehovah's Witness, was a good experience because for me, I learned to relate to people, no matter what faith. You know, when you will go out in service, you knock on doors, and you didn't know what was behind the door.
Right.
You never knew who was coming, and you never knew what they was coming with. I wish I could say that I had the studious, the disciplined side to go home and do the research and the book work, but for me, I always had to connect to people. Being an empath, I had to connect to people on, human level.
Yes.
I think for me, like I said, learning to connect to people, partially from being an empath, partially from knowing that what we were delivering to people gave a lot of people some hope, something to reach for, some understanding.
Right.
And so, for me, it was always that I knew what I was delivering was good. I knew that it helped people. The empath side helped me to find what your fear, maybe what your pain was, and try to relate, and so that I could maybe help you. I think that was part of the reason why the day that we saw the accident, I ran to danger. I think they say, what is it? The Marines run to danger.
Mm-hmm.
They run the first in action. That the partial of that is knowing that, okay, if I didn't have the knowledge of how Jesus tried to live his life, and Jesus was the original, I think, empath, man. At least one of them. Because Jesus, he took and saved a sheep and sacrificed everything else for one sheep. Those Bible stories where he related to a prostitute.
Mm-hmm.
As this man was going into some seedy areas and saying, hey, look, I feel what you're going through. I understand who you are and what you are. But running to danger, being that empathetic person, knocking on that door and bringing, some sort of peace and happiness, if nothing else, just temporary for some people. Now, my experience as a Jehovah's Witness, I'm an ex-witness because I was excommunicated, but I chose to be. You know, people say, man, you were thrown out, or the disfellowshipment is what they called it. You know, it carries a stigma. It carries some pain. You know, you were told that you just, you pretty much let your God down. But I try to explain to people, when this happened to me, and I accepted, and I almost encouraged, it was because I, wasn't going to live as a hypocrite, because the tenets of being a Jehovah's Witness means you are going to live that life. Now, there were some pretty heavy restrictions, for a young man who's just divorced, and now you got to live a celibate life. Yeah, man, if you're going to be honest with yourself, man, listen, that includes, relating to yourself too.
Right.
So for me, man, I thought, okay, well, I don't want to be knocking on someone's door today. And I was with their daughter the night before. You can't go preaching to somebody if you're not living it. Yeah. But at the same time, when I talk to folks that, hey, man, are you coming back? Yeah, I don't know that I will or I won't, but I can tell you honestly, man, I feel closer to Jehovah energy, whatever, now than I did ever in my life, spiritually.
If I may interject, the reason why I would say that you are, and the reason why I'm going to co-sign you on that point, is because you're living honestly.
I believe that.
This is the funny thing, and then I'm going to shut up so you can get back to your point. But in everything that Jesus said one of the most important things that Jesus ever said was simply, "And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." Problem is, how are you ever going to know the truth if you're not honest? Yeah. You can't know truth if you're not honest. Right. You can't see truth. You can't recognize truth. So in living honestly, you're far closer to God than you are living in deep social acting. I'm just giving you that.
That is true. That is exactly my sentiment. So when, the stones were cast at me, I said, hey, listen, if the way I'm living is not gonna ever gain me favor again, I know I must be doing something to keep me close to Jehovah, because otherwise I would have eaten a bullet by now. Ooh. The way my life, had twists and turns. So honestly, man, I don't take it hard, but I do acknowledge that I did learn more, or learn a lot by growing up a Jehovah's Witness. I did learn caring, concern, empathy, and love for other people. I honestly feel like, I feel closer to our Creator, and like I said, maybe one day, but right now, man, happiness and my dog. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about.
My dog, honesty. Brother Donald D, what you got for us? What you got? I know you hired you home now. What you got? What'd you take away?
Get academics. It helped in academics. From the studying aspect of discipline and study, we got graduate school in a matter of years. Children get graduate school in a matter of years. If you start off as an infant in that organization, by the time you're 8 years old, 9 years old, 10-year-old, you finish graduate school.
Yeah.
Public speaking, business school, nonprofit. Nonprofit organizations. You get education in all of those aspects, and for those of us who have started our own businesses and nonprofit organizations, and the artists in the groups, the musicians in the groups, all those things at the time we were brought up in it were dominant. I remember they used to play the piano before they had an actual sound system.
Yeah.
And
yes. Wow.
You remember that?
I remember
Wow. You remember that?
Yes. I remember that.
Man, that was a long time ago.
So you learned to read
Yeah.
music. You learned to
Yes.
read music.
Yeah.
You know about that?
The sound, when we did get the sound system, being able to work sound system for those of us who have
I never got
interest in
that.
music.
You got that, right?
Yes.
You got to work the sound system. I carried the mics.
I
Never
did
graduated
none of
from
those
carrying the
things.
I never graduated from carrying
I
the
did
mics.
none of those things.
You got to work the
Still
sound
carry the
system.
mics. I mean, you learned how the mics work, how sound system.
Yeah,
I mean, even in carrying
but
the
the sound
mics.
system dudes were cooler, man.
They were cool
They
as
stood
shit.
back there, man.
They were cool as
They
shit.
stood back there.
I wanted to be
Man,
one
I
of
never
just
got
walking around and carrying the microphone.
That got all the girls looking at you carrying the mic.
He's spiritually strong.
Donald had all these muscles popping.
Yeah,
But he
man.
went through and, the justice talking.
So, how you doing? Let me see if anybody chimed in real quick. Let me see if we got any comments.
I never got the sound system.
Never?
I never got to be the dude to go on the stage
Hey!
and do the.
Just the mic.
Yeah, man. I never. did that
Yo,
either.
Sister Anna I have to Wajkick. What country are you from, Anna? Hi, gentlemen. Nice to see you. First, what do you think? What do you drink, chaps? Looking forward to deep topics. Okay, cool. Yeah, look at me. I'm reading very poorly tonight. Tonight for drinking, and you have to forgive us, Sister Anya. The setup is over there, so it's like I'm going to have to scroll back and forth. But tonight, I have imbibed on some fine sangria, courtesy of my brother Gabriel. The sangria is very nice. We got margaritas out here. There have been beers floating around.
Chi-Chi's margarita.
Chi-Chi's margarita. We're
In a mason jar.
In the mason jar. With
Get
a
it.
psychic.
Get it
We
stuff.
can't see the future.
PBR, yes.
Man, that's cool. So, first of all, were you finished with what you had to drink? We keep moving. So he wasn't raised Jehovah's Witness.
No, I wasn't.
But please
Definitely got some.
But I have an interesting story. So when
Please.
I was around the age of 17, 18, I had moved away from my father.
Okay.
Now, I moved away from my adoptive father for a year. I didn't understand myself, and so I wanted to find myself through religion. So the religion in which I chose was not Jehovah's Witnesses, but Mormon.
Ooh.
So I went to a Mormon church, and I discovered that all Mormon churches are pretty much built the same. They always have the ark.
Ooh.
You know, so I know that majority of them have gyms. I know that the women aren't allowed to drive cars and things like that. But the reason why I became a Mormon, or the reason why I decided to look into becoming a Mormon, was because I was interested about the human aspect of becoming a Mormon, being a Mormon, just the whole characteristic that Mormons give off, the very nice character, the very innocent character. What drives you to be that all the time, 24/7, all day long?
Are they the bicycles?
Yes.
Bicycles.
And the tracks.
So I was interested in it, and I've always been interested in human behavior, just how people operate, what drives people. And God is a huge motivator. And even today, I've concrete my spirituality, but to me, God is a motivator in a way that I am able to see signs, or I articulate them as signs, and I follow them. But in the Mormon religion, I can see these people see their signs as if it's clear as day, and they take them like as if they are an action that was spoken in their ear.
Wow.
And so they walk very confidently. They know what their missions are. That's why they call them missions. We're going on a mission trip out to Bora Bora or wherever. We're gonna go to Africa and talk about Jehovah's Witness, or not Jehovah's Witness, but the Mormon religion.
Right.
And I always stuck to just how people in every church I went to, how friendly they were, and how the culture that they had was, we're brothers and sisters,
Mm-hmm.
But there are deep cuts within that. There are deep things such as the Mormon religion not really accepting black people.
Wow.
So there was that. That was like the beginning of the Mormon religion. It was like how they would look as black people as having the skin of the sin.
Right.
And so those who have unfair skin, black skin, were sinners or demons.
Wow.
And in order to become good with God, or when you know you are good with God, your skin will lighten and it will become brighter.
Wow.
And so that was an old belief in the Mormon religion that I had to look up. I had to discover that. So
We were in trouble.
I was doing it for like 3 months.
Us melanated people.
So I was doing it for 3 months. It was very intriguing. They called me the investigator. The investigator. That's anybody who looks into the Mormon religion that is not a member of the Mormon religion is an investigator.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't like the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. Those are like 12-year members. Those are like members that have been there since, like, their daddy brought them in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and they've been in since then. Like, the Mormons are tight knit, like the Scientology. A lot like Scientology.
He's bursting at the seams.
I have quite. I just. And I'm going to say it like this, and it's like, first of all, hopefully, I'm not taking away where you if you continue.
Yes, I have.
Okay, so first of all, that's very intriguing, and I'm glad that you brought that to the discussion. Something that Candace had mentioned in our last podcast prior to, I guess, us having this one right here is, it was a question of how to find a sense of autonomy from behind the sort of authoritarian structure that's imposed onto you by religion. How do you find a sense of self from, through, or within, or from behind religion? When something gives you a sense of direction, gives you a sense of purpose, and tells you that you need to look outside of yourself for guidance and look outside of yourself for an answer, how do you find an authentic sense of autonomy through that? Most of us come up under this situation where someone told us what to do and what to believe, and we were conditioned either through religion or through academia or through any social institution to look to someone to tell you what is right to do, and you don't spend enough time sort of trying to problem solve from within, and it sort of builds off of that point that you made, because here you are, a melanated person in a religion that says that your skin is a sin or the mark of sin, and they called you an investigator for challenging a doctrine that doesn't make sense. And I'm going to say this directly. In society, melanin may be bad. In reality, melanin is good. You go out into the sun is like, let me feed you. You pretty head. Let me darken you up a little bit.
Yeah.
Let me darken you up. Let me sprinkle you with a little bit of love, motherfucker. Hey,
Let me kiss you.
let me kiss you a little bit.
Like a razor.
You like that? In society, melanin is bad. In reality and in nature, melanin is good.
Mm-hmm.
So to go into a belief system that tells you that something rewarded by nature is inherently bad, it draws you into idealism and out of and away from reality. In reality, if the sun kisses you, if the most natural thing that you know kisses you, if your hair grows up to meet it, reality itself says you are good. If a social structure tells you that you are somehow demonic or vilified because of what nature rewards, who is correct? Who is correct? Reality or the stories that people construct in society? And this isn't to take anything away from people who don't have high concentrations of dark, rich melanin pigment in their skin, eyes, and hairs. We're not taking anything away from it. We're sitting down here, and it's like you have to understand there's a distinction between social story and natural reality. When you're synced up with reality, when you're honest, you say, hey, I may not like it, but the sun does. Sun has been around longer than me. Maybe it's not so bad.
Longer than we.
It's longer than we. It's a simple concept. When you say, hey, it's just being honest and being observant, you say here, hey, it may not be socially acceptable, but nature seems to like it. Maybe we're wrong.
Who put it there in the first place?
Yeah. Well, what about people with vitiligo? Well, how does that work? I was dark as Michael Jackson. Then I was light as.
Hey, I'm gonna say.
Well, what do they feel about that? Because that just happened. I mean, do they say
That's a good question.
But then now you're not cursed. But I got vitiligo. So
yeah, that's a damn good question.
Yeah,
That's a great question.
I wish I would have investigated further.
you were already the infiltrator. That's right. You were looking at being killed.
Yeah,
I
was
was like
trying to
that,
get into
man. You gotta go. Okay, that makes no sense. Man, I heard this. Was it the Mormon guy? Who has the college out Utah? What is it?
Oh, that's the Mormons.
Yeah, man, I heard that guy was one of the worst racists, man. I mean, but come on, man. So I got vitiligo. I was black and now I'm white, man. I'm in.
Yeah.
Boom.
Give me a bike.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, he's the chosen one. Sent us the sign.
That was so fire.
Oh
The chosen one, man. But that actually brings us to a point that it's like I'd actually like to transition to, and that is very simply the distinction between stories and reality. You see, every religion is based on stories. There are myths and stories and meanings of beliefs, and meanings, a series of meanings and beliefs. And let me break that down real quick. A meaning is basically perceptual parameters you ascribe to a thing, and then a belief is a combination of meanings that you've accepted and agreed to. So basically, a belief is an agreement you make with yourself about how something is in reality. When you form a belief, you're like, I agree with me that this is how this thing is. And the funny thing about it is reality doesn't recognize or honor agreements we make with ourselves. The point that I'm making, and even segueing into that, is we're all talking about these faith systems that were these collections of symbols, meanings, and beliefs that we accepted, and we made agreements with ourselves about and pertaining to on behalf of reality. Hey, this is how reality is. Everything that these people are saying is true is how reality is. And you sit back here and all of a sudden you get some years behind you, you get a little bit of distance and perspective. You get a little bit of life experience and exposure to new environments and exposure to new conditions. And all of a sudden, this series, this collection of meanings, this collection of agreements you made with yourself about how reality is, it starts to crumble. It starts to fall to pieces. And then you have a choice. Do you adapt to reality as it's presenting itself to you in real time? Or do you fight tooth and nail to preserve these agreements you made with yourself about how reality is? Do you adapt into how things are? Or do you fight to preserve how you think things are? What's the damn, I just lost my word. What is the trade-off?
Well,
Check and see if there's another question before you.
Yeah.
That boy's good. He's good.
let's tap into that.
We ain't got no more questions yet. We had 34 minutes. I think this thing goes up in. Hey, would you like to join in the podcast, young lady? Would you like to say hey? Come on, just swing around here and say hey. Introduce yourself. You step right over here in the front if you like or whatever. It's fine. It's like, hey, say hello.
Hi.
Don't steal my spotlight.
Racist. It's because we're black. It's because we're black. I'm just saying, I'm not psychic. I can't see the future.
Oh, she got some melanin.
I know she does.
Because I'm Mexican.
We have fun here.
Thank you.
And we imbibe. We imbibe.
That girl's good. She's good.
She's good. That girl good. You killed it. You killed it. Ooh, coming to American reference.
There it is.
Right on time. Right on time. Hey, it's right. That's what it is.
You leaving?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
See
you later.
Good night.
See you later.
Have a sit
Bye.
back.
Bye.
So yeah, man. So
So I was gonna say into that because what and it's funny you say that you bring up that subject
right,
because regardless of whatever religion there was on this planet,
right.
all of them have had color issues.
Mm.
All of them.
Mm.
And so it's just like, for me, the issue isn't with the people of color, it's those who are directing those type of things. Because it's like, the people that I've met who are the ones who are the downtrodden, the ones they put down, are usually people of color.
Right.
And those are the people that are supporting your organization. They're supporting you regardless. And it's like it's not just that's something I've seen within Buddhism, Hinduism.
Right.
I've seen that within Christianity,
Right.
within Islam. It's not just it's not a Christianity thing. It's across the board. And what it boils down to is that those folks who are putting those people down, because a lot of those folks they're faithful people.
Right.
Loyal people. They're putting their faith into your organization, and yet instead of you building them up, you taking your foot and you stomping on them saying, no, get down. But it's like at the end of the day, it's like I understand what the purpose of it is, but at the end of the day, those people eventually, as we've seen in many organizations, that those people tend to leave.
Right.
And if they don't leave, the ones who were there initially, their children do. So you end up losing people because of that type of mentality and that thought process. Or you get people like he was saying within what he dealt with within the Mormons, who end up, you investigate it, you look into it, but you end up losing them because you have what you have done, whether you're trying to realize it or not, and you're exalting another. You've segregated the people who actually are going to be ones that take you up to the next level.
Yo, I'm gonna add on to that. I was talking to Marcus. You know, Marcus, brother Marcus Vaughn. I don't know if you're catching this one, but we was talking, man. He was telling me about a lot of shit that was going on in Bethel.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, man, how the racism up there was like off the charts.
Yeah.
And you sit here, and it's like, this is the thing. I had this dude commenting on my post, man. And you know, I had to get after him, man, because it's like he was doing that little sort of nice aggressive thing, where it's like, you know, you sit here and you're trying to like sort of impose will on me, like by trying to make me steer what I'm saying into wheelhouse convenient to his own inner story and whatnot, and I rejected it. Here's the thing, and this is something that I really want to stress to everybody. When did Jesus or any prophet from any religion tell anyone to go out and compete on behalf of them? When did Jesus ever tell any of his followers, hey, I need you to judge and punish people for me. I need you to show people what's good and what's really hood. Would you like to step into the podcast?
I like to say goodbye, Gabe.
Okay, come on in.
You gotta say hi first.
Say hello.
All right.
Alright, bye.
Thank you.
Alright, see you later.
Good night.
Be safe.
Okay.
Be careful. Have a good night.
Goodbye, gentlemen.
Bye-bye. But the funny part about it is, Jesus never told, and so far as I'm aware, if y'all can think of a scripture, please point me to it. Jesus never told anybody, hey, I need you to go and compete on my behalf. The difference between preaching and competing is simply this. If you're preaching, only thing you out here doing is you're speaking what God puts into your heart. Now, when you decide to internalize it and then use it as a weapon by which to try and subjugate and cut down others, it's no longer you preaching, you're competing. You're there for a contest. You're trying to win. When did Jesus ever tell anybody, hey, use me and God as props to go and assert your own authority with? When did Jesus ever say, hey, turn me into a weapon by which to subdue and subjugate others? And if you ask these questions and you answer them honestly, it pretty much debunks Christianity entirely. Because everybody's out here trying to convert other people. They sit here and when did Jesus ever say, yo, hey, what I want you to do is come up with your own interpretation of what I said and form tribes and then go and take on other people. That's some ideologue shit right there. It doesn't have it that when you internalize the message and then sort of distort it in your mind to a degree that it gives you license to go around correcting and subduing other people, you are no longer in the spirit of anything Jesus actually said or did. Jesus didn't go into. Did Jesus ever sit up there and just see like a mob of rabbis and be like, nah, we need to roll on these motherfuckers right now. Hey, here's the truth. I've never seen that. If y'all know about it, please let me know. Now, did people come and contest Jesus when he was in the midst of saying what was authentically in him? Absolutely. They came to him with their aggression and animus. He didn't go to them.
I think there was a drive-by in Matthew.
There may have been. You know what? I forgot about that one. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I forgot about that one. They had AKs. They had AKs. I forgot about that one. That was in the...
Ecclesiasticus.
But that's the point. Listen, I'm gonna say it like this. Religion is a stupid sport that humans play. It's the sport of who has God's favor. God does not care about this religion, this sport that humans play. People are like, hey, I am Muslim. People are like, I am Hindu. People are like, I'm a Christian, yeah. And they're sitting here and they're like, we're the best. And they're fighting all against each other. And it's all based on agreements they make with themselves as a species that have absolutely nothing to do with reality. Nothing to do with reality.
Well, can I come in on
Go, please, go for it.
Because Jesus, what was it, Muhammad, the Buddha, the Dalai Lama, all these different ones that these ones look to, that supposedly are supposed to cause division, all believe in the same thing.
Golden rule.
And then the golden rule, but it's about peace. But it's and I'm glad you said that because whether it be the golden rule, which is talking about it all deals with peace from within. And that's the crazy thing with that, because folks they'll get their viewpoint on it, and then put their spin on it. It's always external.
Always external.
Never do you take the time. I don't know people who went to church. I don't know people who went to all.
What do they call?
Do it Mormons?
Yeah. What do they call that?
Investigators?
Their gathering place.
Oh, the tabernacle.
Tabernacle.
Yeah, but even with that, it's just like, how many people are actually going in there, and then as they go in there, take an actual personal examination, which is so funny because in the that's the study part. That's the thing that we got when we when you're taking that, what was it, personal study? You're supposed to take those things within.
Personal. Personal being the key word.
Yeah, and so and it's just like, and everything that you're talking about, it all has some form of that. Whether you're supposed to, whether it be through meditation, or something through prayer, it's something where you're supposed.
Meditation.
Yes, with something where you're supposed to be taking that internally.
Man, I'm just going to add on to what you're talking about right here. This is the frame I teach often in my work, right? And it follows a chain of causality. I always refer to, in my work, I refer to reality as God A lot of people, I don't know if you buy into that, but it's like basically when you think about anything that can exist, it can only exist within reality. Ergo, reality is the creator of all things. The reason why it's important to understand that framing is simply this. If reality is what exists mutually independent of the inner story and or mutually independent of idealism, then it puts everything in perfect alignment. Because if reality is God, then what is truth? Truth is simply what's consistent with and actual within reality. What is honesty? Honesty is the individual's will and effort to recognize and be in sync with reality. What is reasoning? Reasoning is using the mental faculties, using the cognitive process to suss out what is most consistent with reality. What is intuition? Intuition is your sensory faculty, your inner connection to reality. All of this shit lines up. It all aligns. So when you are dealing with trying to figure out the world around you, as Gabriel was talking about, first you're going in and you're studying, but you're using all of these faculties. You're like, yo, I'm studying, but let me be honest with myself. Does this seem consistent with reality? Let me compare it to something over here. Let me compare it to something over there. Hello. Oh, hello.
Give it up for the kid. She said no.
Hello. Bye bye. What's your name?
Police.
Aww. So nice. She's a pretty little girl. So, yeah, but everything really does boil down to trying to know what is consistent with reality. What is consistent with God? When you go in and you do this study, what are you doing? You're using your mind to figure out what's the most what is the most true thing. What is the most true thing? Don't let me get in my ideas. Let me sort through my ideas and figure out what's the most true thing. That's what studying is. When you're disciplined, when you have an inner sense of accountability, it means that you don't stop with what you feel. You don't stop with what you believe. You don't stop with what's convenient. You go until you can go no further. You go to completion. When you're going to completion, when you're trying to figure out what's most consistent with reality, guess what? It makes you smarter. It makes you stronger. It makes you a better person. That's the reason why I fuck with y'all. Simply put, you've already done the work to be excellent people because you're disciplined. You're disciplined because you know what it is to do the work towards syncing up with reality. It's that simple. It's that simple.
I'm piggyback off what Adrian said earlier when he talked about willingly leaving the organization, right? Because, and I may paraphrase, so correct me if I'm wrong in my interpretation of your situation. You willingly left because honestly you wish to be true to yourself, correct?
Sure.
He saw his reality, right? And moved in reality he saw. But to do that, he had to, as you said, be honest with yourself, true to yourself, and so on and so forth. And all of those things are what God represents.
Thank you. And I'm going to add on to what you just said and what he just said. At the end of the day, honesty, the pursuit of truth, it necessarily requires bravery. Like, you know you're going to take hits. You know you're going to take social hits whenever you pursue truth. Whenever you actually pursue real truth. Bye-bye. When you actually pursue real truth, there's going to be social consequences.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yeah.
And you have to choose which lumps you're going to take. Are you going to take the natural consequences for avoiding reality? Or are you going to take them social consequences for being honest with yourself and stepping into it?
Well, but that's the thing. That's where our upbringing comes in at. and where we started off from, because we were put in a state where we were different. We were always an outsider,
Right.
and then we became outsiders, not just outside of the world we lived in,
Right.
but we can be outsiders within the organization we're serving in.
Right.
So it's like, and through that service and through that action, this is why we're all here now. Because now we speak with the boldness of what needs to be spoken, because we're put through that fire.
We put that
Yeah.
fire. You stand in the flame of truth,
Yeah.
and you let everything that isn't real get burned away. That's what I'm sure that's what you did too. But it's like when I sit here and it's like I had to lose my ego. Ultimately, I had to stand in the flame of truth and let the social character of Donald King and everything that I thought comprised what I am as a person get burned away as it just crumbled in the face of reality. I'm like, oh, I'm a genius. Reality's like, word? Is that what you think? Yeah. How smart are you now? And I'm like, oh no, my pride. That's how it fucking went.
Yeah.
And you stand there, and all of a sudden you get shown. Maybe you're not as dope as you think you are. Let me take away all this padding to show you how tough you really are. It's like, yeah, you tough on the football field when you got an Iron Man suit on. Let's take you out that Iron Man suit. Let's put you in some regular pads. Fuck it, we're not even put you in some pads. Or if I go out there, you got a t-shirt and some drawers on. How tough are you? And you sit down here, you take them hits those first couple times around, and they hurt. But when you're done, after you've been through that refinement process, after you stand there, after you just been bloodied and bruised up by reality itself, and you the altered beast, and you glowing, it's like you're grateful for everything that you've been through, which brings us full circle to what we started with. We went through the flame of being raised J-Dub. So many people who walk away from that organization only have bad things to say. Here we are, fully realized and cognizant people who can stand back and look at the impact it made on us as people with gratitude and say, I may not like how you did it, but I'm glad you got me here. Thank you. That is a sign of not just growth and emotional maturity, it's a sign of honesty. If you can't sit back and honestly feel gratitude for the things that empowered you in life and elevated you to the space of potency you currently operate from and within, then you're no closer to enlightenment than a person you would point your finger at on the street.
Different end of the spectrum. Which side do they want to be on? Jehovah's Witness right here, but I hate Jehovah's Witness over here. Or whatever faith you were brought up in and you no longer are a part of, you go to the other extreme when you need to ride in balance. You know what I'm saying? You need to ride in balance.
You need,
and love yourself.
Thank you. Balance and reality, because balance and reality are mutually inclusive. When you sync up with reality, you're not lost in your inner story, and you're not so lost in how you're affected by things that you fail to look at things from a systemic view. When you sit here and you look at yourself, it's kind of like a person who was raised in it's kind of like Michael Jackson. Joe Jackson used to beat that ass. Boy, you better not go flat tonight. You better not sing flat tonight. I never can say goodbye. That's your ass. But it's like the point of it is he came up under that, but then all of a sudden when you got Michael Jackson worth $500 million or whatever he made it to before he died, you sit here and you look at all the stuff that you had to go through in order to get to where you're at, so that you have the power to make those decisions, you have the power to impact on reality the way you need to, and you're like, you know what? I don't like how you did it, but I'm here. Thank you. That's honesty. That's being synced up with reality. That's just being like, hey, I'm cognizant of things that perform above the level of my feelings and beliefs. I'm cognizant of impacts on reality, not just what I feel or believe about them. And that's when you know you've grown. Let me check to see if there's any comments. Hold on. Y'all killing this shit in the face. Let me see. Hey. Anna comes in. She's sitting here. She's like, "Hey, heart faces. What? Hey, Miss Anna, how you doing?" Let me see. Interesting. Religion is difficult topic. Did any of you XJW witnesses have both parents in the sect?
Yes.
Yeah. Most.
Yeah.
I'm one of the few who defected. Just like everybody else in the family, they stuck around. And again, what I want to make clear is just because it's not my cup of tea, just because it's like, I found my way away from it, it doesn't mean that I have bad things to say about it, because it's like to besmirch them in any way, shape, or form is to deny what I walked away from it with, and that's a disservice to myself. That's being dishonest. If I don't hold the values, I don't hold the beliefs. There are several things that I do take issue with in terms of their doctrine. There are several things I take issue with, however, that has nothing to do with my ability to recognize the value they do bring to people's lives who need that sort of structure and guidance. So I can't tear them down. I can't necessarily endorse the belief system per se, but I can say that, in all honesty, if there's anything about me that could be considered good, I would be remiss to not include them and credit them for having some impact on me to whatever degree they did.
If it was a growth, man, it was a stepping stone to understanding yourself.
Thank you. A good
step. Learning yourself.
Right.
For me, the purpose of religion, whatever religion it is for you to become aware that there is something that you may be lacking within self. Right? As you said before, maybe the discipline that's required to try to follow those biblical standards. Or you just like a really nasty person and you're trying to come back off of that. Maybe you did your penance, right? People talk about penance all the time.
Right.
I did so many wrong things in my life and I'm trying to make up for it. So I go into religion to give penance, to try to find peace.
It gives you structure.
It gives you structure, and you start through those words in there, be it the how you pronounce it, the Quran, how you pronounce it,
Quran,
or the Bible, or whatever literature or guidance book you use in your faith. It gives you that structure you need in order to understand what peace is.
Right.
Now the problem is people get stuck right here and never move past that stone. You understand what I'm saying? That stepping stone, they just stand on the step.
Right.
And they never move past and to fully delving into themselves in order to understand what it is they're themselves. That love you need in yourself. 1 John 4:8 says what? God is love, right? How the whole thing go? Because it's still on mine. It was right there and it slipped. He that does not love has not come to know God, because God is love.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
So if you do not love self, you will never know God, reality, or God within self, because you have that sense of reality now, or you understand reality now. So that in itself, love of self, love for self, you can never give it to anybody else if you don't have it for yourself.
I'm gonna add on to what you just talked about right there. There's a thing that I like to talk about, specifically with regard to religion. I like to think about it like this: religion is kind of like a hammer. Religion is kind of like a hammer. And in the beginning, somebody gives you a hammer, you go around and you're banging on everything, and this hammer, it seems to work, right? And it got you from point A to point B. When you get into point B, You know what's required? A screwdriver and a drill and some wedges and things of this nature. Now, you can try and force this hammer, everything in section B, point B, to be solvable with this hammer, but then you just start destroying shit. So you know what you do in order to honor that hammer? You thank it for helping you get from point A to point B, and you honor it by setting it down and picking up the screwdriver, the drill, and the wedge, and using these new tools. You honor the old tool by using the new tools, because hey, this helped you get from this point in your journey to this point in your journey. Giving up on your journey because you don't want to let go of this thing that helped you get from here to here is giving up on your journey and basically invalidating all the work you did getting from point A to point B. You honor religion by letting it go at a certain point and saying, thank you for getting me this far. Now I have to branch out and do some additional work, but I never lose sight of how far you helped me get. And I'm going to honor how far you helped me get by proceeding further. That's how it's done. You don't sit here and you don't worship the tool. You use the tool until it's no longer relevant, and then you move forward and you honor the tool that you used by continuing forward. By continuing forward.
And piggyback on the aspect of using the tool. When you first got that hammer, it was the law.
It
wasn't a tool.
Touche.
It was a law.
Yep.
Right.
Very nice.
Once you gain mastery of that law, it then becomes a tool. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, very nice.
And then you realize that I need a more refined tool.
Yeah.
Or a more refined law.
Yeah.
And then that law subsequently becomes a tool. And you keep progressing so until you've mastered the tools.
And you have to, proceeding forward is honoring what helped you get there to begin with.
Yes.
So in everything that I do, even though I'm no longer a Jehovah's Witness by faith or trade, in everything that I do, regardless of who agrees with it or disagrees with it, I honor the foundation that was given to me by pressing forward. If you helped me get to this point to forsake advancement just to cling to a tool, it disavows the work that went into getting me to this point. I am necessarily obliged to press forward in spite of the tool. If the tool comes back around and it becomes relevant again, then we can revisit it when that time presents itself. However, for the time being, it is in everyone's best interest to see the journey through to completion. You don't get hung up on what got you there. You only focus on what's going to get you forward.
And to piggyback on that thought, you go back to the natural aspect. Like if you look at the streams, when they become blocked, you have a lot of things around it that die. And for us, when you're talking about the continual process, when we stop growing, then we die. Whether that be a spiritual death or a physical death, there's a death there.
Right.
And so we have to. It's imperative for us to progress.
It is.
Otherwise, it's death.
Thank you. And that's the point. Let me check to see where we are on time, because I know we're a little over, and sometimes Facebook cuts shit short. But yeah, Brother Ashborough says that last thing you said. when you are aware of your impact on reality as well, not just your feelings and beliefs. Maturity. He gives us an okay and a thumbs up. It says, prioritize being aware of action, speech, consequence over the reason behind it, because sometimes we can do what we think is appropriate or important due to our priorities, but in reality, it's actually not appropriate. It might be unnecessary, harmful, insensitive, or rude in reality. So when we rearrange our priorities, we rearrange our entire foundation, and what seems appropriate to do and say to us changes. Very nice, Brother Ashro. Very nice.
I have something to piggyback off of that.
Go ahead.
And it's a memo. It's something that sits on my phone, but I'm going to read it out. It says, excuse me while I clear out all of my notifications.
Hey, that's important.
Hey, yo, how y'all liking this, man? How y'all feeling about this?
This is an excellent podcast.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
enjoying
You
it.
got any more libations?
Libations might be in order. I'm just saying.
But it says,
I'm empty.
it says, watch your thoughts, they become your words.
Right.
Watch your words, they become your actions. Watch your actions, they become your habits. Watch your habits, they become your character.
Mm-hmm.
And watch your character because it becomes your destiny. By Lao Tzu.
Oh yeah. You know what's really weird?
What's that?
And this is, and again, I'm not trying to sell you on this idea, but it's like, for one, I never believed in any of this shit. Like, I'll be honest with you, coming up as a Jehovah's Witness and me having what I thought was a high IQ back in the day, I didn't believe in any of that shit. So it's like the turnout to be the thing I purport to be, which as you all are aware, I'm an avatar, I'm a thing. Lao Tzu is one of my successors. I mean, one of my predecessors, which is weird as shit because I didn't believe in any of this stuff. I thought anybody who believed in reincarnation and spirits and all this other stuff, even the individual the Bible refers to as Jesus, there's a predecessor to the thing that I host. So I host an entity lets me see reality in principles and or according to perfect pitch or whatever. It's a thing. I'm not trying to sell anybody on that, but the point of it is very simply, every avatar, whatever they speak, I see the principle, like it's literally looking at the body of principles as they said, and it's like, it's so funny because you can literally read through the Bible and you can see Jesus said this, yeah, he said that, he didn't say that, he said this, he said this, he said this, he said this, and it's really weird, but it's like whenever I, like what you just said right there, thank you kindly, you sit here and you're looking like, I'm like, oh yeah, hell yeah, that fits exactly with the frame I see. Yeah, it fits perfectly. Mm-hmm. So it's really interesting. I'm not good enough to make this stuff.
And you know what? I was looking at I look at the Bible in a metaphoric way. Mm-hmm. And so I look at I'm always trying to improve. That's why I hang out with my elders. That's why I try to improve myself by listening to
We're elders now.
They're not my elders. There's like levels to it, but like they up there though. They up there.
We geriatric folk. I'm just saying. Your tone.
I love y'all. Yes, but
You got that good stuff. He said you got this order. Man, you said them good berries.
But I look at religion, and I look at religion as a whole. All religions, whether that be Buddhism, Hinduism, or whatever religion it may be, I look at them all as a whole as a way to operate. They all follow the golden rule, but each of them have different distinct characteristics about one another that they operate differently. Like they move either military, or they move very solemnly and humbly, or whatever it may be. Say for instance, for like the Buddhist religion, it doesn't really study mainly on God. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have, so to speak, a God, but instead a philosophy, as in these golden 8 rules that form you as a moral being, that help you to become less greedy, that help you to become more humble. And meditation is a part of that in Buddhism. And I feel like meditation is a form of self-understanding. when you meditate, you spend time with yourself. When you pray, you spend time with yourself. You, like I feel as if prayers are the conversations in which I have with myself. The prayer in which I am asking myself. You know, I may think of myself not as God, but in the reality of it, I'm talking to myself. I am giving myself this word of encouragement, or this word of what I want, creating a vision board for myself in my mind. So everything in which I view in the Bible and everything like that, it's metaphoric to me, and it helps me and allows me to grow and allows me to move forward.
What brought the good? May I ask? What brought you to that point? What made you do that?
I am a real seeker of human understanding, and I really want to understand. I don't understand the reasons why I was born here, but I want to understand the reason why this is a place, why this is why is so much cruelty allowed? Why is there such a balance of cruelty, and yet we have those same people creating cruelty, creating an equal balance of donations?
You know, you said a balance of it?
Yeah, like, you know, they'll do something that's evil, but they'll, you know, make $1 billion donation. It's all fine. You know, I don't know. Try to help out. Try to you know help an organization or something. Cover it up.
I must step in, but you know what? I'm not going to step in to correct that. I'm going to say it like this. I'm going to say. I love your thoughts. First and foremost, saying thank you for sharing them as well. When you sit here and you ask these questions, you're asking yourself where first of all you're praying. You sort of, if I may be so bold, what it seems that you're asking is you're trying to understand how you exist in relation to the world around you.
Yes.
And the reason why that's important to get into is because it's somewhat introspective, but it's also sort of thinking at a systemic level. It's thinking above the level of self-interest, wherein you're sort of observing the world around you as a system and trying to identify yourself within a system that exists mutually independent of you. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so
yes, indeed, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to say it like this, like, you know, especially some of the questions that you were asking there, like, you know, okay, so why are these people creating all these imbalances, but then they do things to seemingly offset their imbalances, but the imbalances are still felt in reality. So it's like if you're a multinational corporation creates tons of pollution, but you give $1 billion to this charity over there, but you're kind of like, okay, but it's like, so you've paid to sort of offset the deficits you created in the world around you. So is it fair? But here's the thing that I would offer to that thought right there. At the end of the day, money is a fiction. We agree on the value that money has. If you pay, if you pay $1 billion, so like if you destroy an ecosystem, making yourself rich, but you give money to an organization, you've destroyed a portion of the body of this planet, but you've offset it by doing something in idealism for humans. That doing something in ideal versus the impact that you make on the physical world, these are two completely different things. So it's like I wouldn't equate. Hey, that's how you doing? No, I'm not saying that you did. I'm saying that it's just one of those situations where I think that you created a space for that to be spoken on, where all too often we sort of equate people making social impacts, which happen primarily in idealism, to people making impacts on reality, which happens in nature, which necessarily entails nature. If I destroy an entire ecosystem with a paper mill, but I give $100,000 to an orphanage, you sit down here and it's like, you don't know how that $100,000 given to that orphanage was spent. You don't know if it made the world a better place.
Right.
And more importantly, it did not make up for the entire ecosystem you destroyed making all of that money. Like, this is something that humans get twisted way too often. They're like, oh, making an impact on society is making an impact on reality. No, the fuck it's not. It's like $1 billion, that's something we agree on. Take $1 billion and pay it to a bear after you punch it and say, I give you $1 billion if you don't maul me. You're not gonna shit about $1 billion because it's like that only matters to humans. You can only spend you can say, bear, I'm gonna slap you, but I give you this stack of gold. What do you say? The bear ain't gonna be like, well, shit, with this gold, I can get me a car, and I can do. No, it's not thinking like that. It doesn't happen. I want you to see, like, the stories in the Bible. Moses, when he parted the Red Sea. I want you to sit over here and just think about the ridiculousness, not of that story specifically, but going to the Red Sea, or any ocean, and being like, yo, hey, look, man. I'm rich as Puffy. I'll pay you $1 million to part from me right now. Will the ocean say, shit, I need them new J's, I might as well. No, the reality does not respond to what happens in idealism. What happens in idealism only matters to humans. It only matters to humans. So it's just very important to make that distinction, and I'm so glad that, first of all, you shared some wonderful thoughts with us, but it's like, more importantly than wonderful thoughts, you created a platform for this point to be made. What happens in idealism remains in idealism. What happens in reality remains in reality. If I sit down here and I'm like, I punch Gabe as hard as I can, and I cut his jaw, he's bleeding, and you're sitting down here, and I'm like, sorry. Sorry happens in idealism. Does it heal the fucking cut that I just created by punching him? No. So the things that we agree to, our agreements, the agreements we make with ourselves and the agreements we make among each other mean nothing to reality. Nothing. Our fiat, our currency, means nothing to reality. This is systems of agreements humans make with themselves. So being like, oh shit, hey, you guys, but it's like, I fixed, this is the thing that humans do. They make all of these agreements with themselves about how things are in reality. I've already been to heaven. And when I went to heaven, you know what I didn't see? First of all, you don't see shit over there because you don't have sensory faculties. And I was in 6 and 7 locations at the exact same time. But the point of it is, when I was over there, you know what wasn't present? There were no pearly gates. There were no thrones. There were no golden roads. There were no streets of gold or any of these other things. When you think about it, gold matters to humans. Gold matters to humans.
Right.
Why would gold matter to a thing that created all things?
God.
Why would gold matter? Gold is a form of currency among humans.
Physical.
It's physical. Why the fuck would God be like, oh shit, gold is awesome. God, why would you care? So you sit here and I'm over the other side and I'm like, okay, and it's like, and I'm out of my gourd. I'm sitting here trying to, first of all, invalidate the entire experience. I'm like, okay, no, I'm a materialist. All of this is a delusion. None of this is real. And then it's like, God is in front of you, and it's like, it doesn't have to say it to you, but it's like you get a very clear impression of, so you've been talking shit, huh? And it was a G check. It was a G check. When you sit down here and you're in the face of something, you're like, no, see, what had happened was, you don't understand. And it was very much like that, but
how did you reach that level?
Oh man, it wasn't a choice. It wasn't my choice.
Was there a substance you partook in?
No. This all happened. It was part of my life cycle. So it's like, even prior to going to the state conditioned heaven or whatever you call it, it's like God was just sending people to me, and it's like He sent like two like random people to me sometimes. Hey, God sent me to you, and we would walk and talk. We never spoke about religion, and then all of a sudden, it started off with this dude named Vince, and he was coming to me and trying to read these Christian magazines and stupid shit like that. And I'm very narcissistic back at the time. I'm an atheist. I was very dismissive, and all of a sudden he's like, Don, God said He's about to send you people in signs. Accept them when they come. I'm like, man, get the fuck out of here, man. You lunching, man. Ain't nobody trying to hear that stupid shit. Because again, I was a narcissist. And then all of a sudden, random people come up, hey, God sent me to talk to you. And I'm like, man, get the fuck out of here. But we walked and talked. We never spoke about religion. We never spoke about any of this other stuff. So one day, it's like I'm starting to get all these visions and shit. And I didn't believe in none of this stuff at the time. And all of a sudden, it's like after a while, after I was getting all these visions and everything was going sort of haywire in my life, I call up Vince, who it all started with, talking to this dude. And I'm like, man, if this God thing is real, if it's real, what do you think it wants from me? It was like, he's like, no, man, don't ask God what He wants from you. Ask God what He wants for you. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what? Okay, cool. So one day I'm in the shower, and my frame of reference is intact. Even though I was undergoing a lot of stress at the time. I was raised in a very abusive environment, so it's like, stress is nothing new to me. So I'm under the water, but it's like I was feeling some pressure at the time. So I'm like, man, and it's like it was a very humbling experience to ask, and I'm like, what do you want for me? And the water's casting over my head, and all of a sudden, this is exactly how it happened. And I can't make this shit up. This is exactly how it happened. All of a sudden, the wall's cast out, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And all of a sudden, I can see through everything around me. I can see through all of it. And I'm like, okay, this has to be a psychotic snap. I'm trying to think of ways to explain what the fuck went down.
You tried to science.
I was trying to science it, and it wasn't working. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, I was overcome with this bliss. It felt like the arc of an orgasm, like the best orgasm, but it was very non-sensual, and it just kept getting better and better. And all of a sudden, I can see through my hands. And I'm touching them together, and I can see these ripple effects passing through my hands. I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm touching the walls, and the walls are right beside me, but they're translucent. I can see through everything. I'm like, what the fuck is this? All of a sudden, my body goes on autopilot, and it's like, you ever had your body remote controlled? And I'm sitting here like, and I cut off the water, and I'm like, okay, so this is different. And I grab my towel, and I wrap it around me, and it's like, it's very, like, I'm sitting here, and it's like, I feel like a zombie just moving around in my body. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? I sit down here and I lay down on my bed, and all of a sudden everything cast out again, and I'm there, but I'm not there. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Then all of a sudden I'm in this space, and I'm like, what is happening right now? And then all of a sudden I start to become aware, and I'm imbued with awareness for what's happening, and I'm like, oh shit, so this is heaven. There's no knowledge over there, there's only understanding. So there are no partitions, there's no division, there's no secrets, no nothing. Yeah. You're sitting here and you're just in the thick of it. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden I'm like 6 or 7 locations at the same time. And I'm like, I'm here, and it's just a reverberative effect, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? So all of a sudden, I'm like, it's like zoom, and I'm like, oh shit, and I knew I was in the presence of God, and I'm like, you're shitting me, you're for real? This is real? And I'm beside myself, literally. But so all of these effects that were happening to my spirit, they were imposed onto my body. So I'm feeling like the highest high that you could possibly imagine, dog. I'm feeling the highest high, and it was so good you couldn't get addicted to it. It was and forgive my crudeness, it was like fucking pussy. It was amazing. And I'm like, I love this. I never want to go back. And then all of a sudden I'm starting to have a conversation with this entity who, oddly enough, I was part of its physical structure and I was inside of its body, but it was somehow off in front of me and to the left. And I'm sitting here and it's like I asked it a bunch of questions. And the worst part about it is I asked about 10 questions. I don't remember the questions because it's like all the questions I asked, they were coming from a narcissist.
Mm-hmm.
So they were all very self-indulgent. How do I know this is real? All the questions about me, so I don't even remember the stupid questions I asked. But every time, and somehow my thinking was formatted in a way that I only knew how to communicate with it in binary. So the questions that I asked, they were answered with yes or no. Every time the answer was yes, the feeling of bliss intensified, and it felt like the best orgasm. And every time the answer was no, it felt like physical claws digging into the bottom of my heart. And we spoke for about 10 minutes, and then I came out of that state and condition, and I came back down. I came crashing back down into my body. It was a brutal crash. Oh shit! God damn! And all of a sudden you sit here and you look outside at the sun, and it was the most peaceful experience I ever had in my entire life, because for once in my existence to that point, I knew that there was something bigger than me. As a narcissist, learning that something is bigger than you, it's better than the best orgasm you could possibly hope to imagine.
All that what he's having.
That's how it went, man. That's how it went.
Double that.
That's how it went. So it's like, and again, I'm fortunate. So all the reason why you guys see me make sense in the way that I do, the reason why you see me explain everything in principles is because whatever happened when I was on that side, it permanently imprinted onto me the ability to see everything mechanically and to see through the barriers and all these other things. So I'm never guessing. I'm describing what I can see in real time. Right. And then it's like I was also made aware of the fact that I'm the successor of Quetzalcoatl and Lao Tzu and Kukulkan and Gandhi and the Buddha and the individual of the Christian faith system refers to as Jesus, and I house an entity that Christians refer to as Holy Spirit or Holy Ghost. This is not my deciding, it wasn't my doing, it fell in my lap. So a lot of people, they work to attain enlightenment, and it was just fucking dumped in my lap.
If I tell you it was yours, well, how would you respond to that? If I tell you it is yours, how would you respond to that?
I've been shown in no unspecific terms that it's not. So your assessment of it as pitted against the experience and the entity itself, I would have to go with the entity. The entity is the one, like it has its own sense of will, it has its own sense of purpose. Like I tell you this, a lot of times we don't even agree. Me and the entity, we don't even agree. I'm sitting here like, yo, I think we should approach it this way. It's like, nah, we're doing this. And I'm like, but it's like, did I ask you for your input, Donald King? And I'm like, you're right. And I have to fall back. It G-checks me from time to time because it's like my sense of priority is very different from its sense of priority. So it's like you got to know when you're in the pocket and you got to know when to be in the pocket and to sit back and let it do its thing. But yeah, it's like, you know what?
When I say it is yours, I say it is yours because it was given to you.
And I'm not negating that. I'm gonna say it like this. At the end of the day, it was imbued to me, but I'll put it like this. I'm not the show. I'm the stage. I'm not the show. I'm the stage. So it's like, if you're the show, you can perform on any stage, and that's basically what the avatar perspective does. It can perform through a Gandhi. It can perform through a Jesus. It can perform through a Quetzalcoatl. It can perform through a Buddha. But
forgive my ignorance. Quetzalcoatl.
Quetzalcoatl, that's like old school. Like, yeah.
Mayan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's old school. But yeah, I didn't make this shit up. I didn't even know about these motherfuckers. I didn't know shit about Gandhi. Here's the thing. So I get visions, right? And I met Gandhi in a vision. I didn't even know Gandhi was a motherfucking avatar. I didn't know shit about this dude. I knew him basically from the history books we learned about in school. Oh, Gandhi. Yeah. And I sit here and it's like he was rude as shit. I met this motherfucker on the other side. I met the avatars on the other side. I met Gandhi. He was rude as shit to me. I'm sitting
like
here.
black people.
Huh?
We didn't like
I
black
didn't
people.
know that at the time. I didn't know anything about this dude. So I'm sitting down here and this motherfucker, it's like, it's a whole thing. But I had a vision and I met the other avatars and they all sit down here and they crashing into inside the pyramid and they're walking up and they're taking all these seats on these rows of, I guess you would call them thrones for whatever. And all of a sudden I'm sitting here and then all of a sudden there's this blue and red comet coming towards the stage. And I'm sitting here and I look and it looked like it has some glasses and some squinty eyes and I'm like, Gandhi? And the motherfucker crashes into the side of the goddamn temple, and I'm like, okay, so this is happening, and they're passing this staff down to each other. And it's made of pure light. And it looks like it's burning, and then they like try to extend it to me, and I'm like, I'm not touching that thing. It's gonna burn my hand. And then it's like Gandhi gets down here and he picks it up and he looks at it, and he looks at me, and he's like, I don't see it. And he and the other avatars get up and they walk down the stage. And I was sitting here like, oh fuck, I don't need you to see it. I know what the fuck I am. And then all of a sudden, that's when I became like aware of what I was. And I was like, oh shit, I don't need anybody to see it. I'm aware of what fuck. God damn it, this is a lot of responsibility. I don't want this shit. And then all of a sudden, it's like at the bottom of the stairs, you have these people contorting their bodies and doing some crazy shit. They spell something out in some form. It was weird with their bodies.
Sanskrit.
Yeah, it was Sanskrit. It was weird. It was weird shit. And that's very intuitive of you. Very nice. But yeah, it's like the very point of it is I didn't sign up for any of this shit. It just fell in my lap. There are a lot of people who spend a lot of years sitting on the side of mountains and meditating in hills and shit, trying to get there. And it got dumped in my lap, and I guess the reason why it's very fortunate for me that to be my experience is.
Why is it unfortunate?
No, I say it's very fortunate for that to be my experience. Is this?
Yeah.
I don't have the deep social acting weighing me down.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have this need for shit to sort of conform to systems of hierarchy weighing me down. I'm able to just move in and out of it. I can stay in flow state. Like even as you're seeing me interact right now, all of this is just off the cuff. It's what I'm able to do naturally in real time. And if I had to go through systems of indoctrination in order to reach this point, what would be the sort of authority layers and protocols I would have to move through in order to get to a point of just flow state and pure conveyance?
Mm.
So it's, yeah.
So,
Well, that's
the
what.
layers of self.
But that's the thing when you talk about that.
Damn teacher.
It does.
It does.
It's funny you say that, but that's when you talk about that flow state and all those steps. Your foundation helped produce all that.
It did.
Because had you not had that foundation, had it been something different, had it been something just a little bit, it's like that tilt of the earth. Had it been just tilted just a little bit to the left or to the right, you don't get the perfection that you need in order to grow.
I couldn't have been born to any other faith system. I couldn't, it had to be the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like even in me going with these people who, and even with these people who are Hindus and Muslims and Christians and Jews coming over to me, God sent me to talk to you and all this other shit. I'm sitting down here, and in order for me to be where I'm at right now, I had to even become an atheist in order to be a blank slate so that when it was presented to me, I wouldn't carry old beliefs into new ways of understanding. So it all fell together the way that it needed to, but I can't take personal credit for it.
Right.
This isn't my guidance. I didn't sit on the side of a hill like, namaste. No. The shit just like, hey, motherfucker, you're a thing. And imagine you didn't think baseball was a sport, and all of a sudden, not only did you find baseball was a sport, but somebody told you, hey, baseball is real, and motherfucker, you're up to bat. You're like, God damn, I ain't prepared for this shit at all. What? God damn. How do I hold the bat like this? And that's what being an avatar is like. I'm sitting here and it didn't come with an instruction manual. So I'm sitting here like, so how do I hold the bat like this? I haven't seen the games. I didn't watch the games. I don't know how to do this shit. And then all of a sudden you just have to step in and fortunately it's like somebody's like, hey, you don't strike out until you hit a home run. So it's like, it's a lot of motherfuckers been throwing them balls at me, man. It's like, in the beginning, I was missing. I was air balls all day. Then all of a sudden, I'm just sort of nicking the ball. And now, I'm hitting that shit clean to the motherfucker. But it couldn't happen any other way. So it's like, I'm sitting here and it's like, there's no way for me to ever self-idealize in this. There's never no way for me to ever be like, oh, this is all done, King. I'm so great. No, I sit here. I'm clearly aware of the fact that it's like it's happenstance to my life experience, and the only thing that I can do is try and improve and be the best that I fucking can in it. I try to be the best that I can, which is ironically why I curse people. I curse because I never want to get lost in the idea of me. I don't want to get lost in deep social acting. I want you to see me fuck up and be fucking... I want you to see every couple generations or every day now somebody steps up, hey, I'm Jesus, hey, I'm an avatar. And I'm sitting here like, and they're sitting here like, everybody follow me and put money in my pockets. And I'm like, nah, that's not how it goes, man. Like you fall back and when you really in the midst of it, you're like, yo, this ain't even about me. How do I show up and just make the best impact possible? And that's when you realize, when that becomes your motivation in life, when being the best that you can be becomes your motivation in life, there isn't too many ways you're gonna end up fucking up. So I'm not the star, and I never see myself as the star, which is why it's like it's an honor to fucking hang out with y'all tonight, because I want everybody to know that's like, hey, to me these motherfuckers are stars.
I'm a son. Libation?
Libations.
Right. Ashbro.
Oh,
Hey, Brother Ashbro comes in, thanks. Oh man, we've been talking for a minute. Brother Ashbro comes in, thanks. He's like, yeah, people who didn't become who they wanted to be have given up on improving their character, have no lack of options. Like, if I can't change to suit reality, then reality and other people must change to suit me, because I don't see any other possible path to take. Because, of course, people devoted to making their character golden don't need the world to be perfect, because its imperfections are one of the main tests of where they're at and show where they can improve things. Very nice contribution, brother. Let me see. Sister Anna comes in. Why President of U.S. always says, God bless America? Why would he say it if he exists? Why would it think only of that particular place of the world and not any different shithole place anywhere? By the way, must be busy, sleepy, or wanking on the wall of misery, forgotten some places, for sure, thinking at outcome of things. Fuck God, just good, smart human beings can change this world, or who cares? Thank you, Sister Anna. Yeah, Anna. Yeah, we got. So you guys have to understand. Some of these people, it's coming. A lot of these people. I think Ashbro is over in the UK, and they're speaking from different countries around the world.
No, I dig that.
perspective.
But it's like, yeah, when you're talking about, that's a catch-22 when you're talking about the especially our political system we live within the United States. It's just like, I mean, he can't really, according to his bounds and his rules and his box, he can't speak outside of.
Right.
I'm gonna bless the whole world. He can only speak from the position that he has, which is the president of the states that can only say, bless the United States.
He has to appeal to the ideologues. He has the president of the United States has to appeal to American ideologues. That's the way.
and asking for permission.
Yeah.
God bless America. That's not like God is blessing America. It's saying, God, please, God, bless America.
Bring us up. We
Don't let us fall.
Might I have a second cup of porridge, sir? Might I have a? Can I have some more, please? This shit is fire. Hey guys, look. Here's what we do. Because it's like we're running on about an hour and a half right now. It's like it's a lot of talking, but it's like tell me it wasn't organic. This shit was fire.
This is nice.
Do we have to run this shit back? I'm not saying I can't see the future.
Yeah, you can.
Speak it.
Hey, we gotta run this shit back. We gotta run it back. ATL. No, I'm just joking.
4, 5, 6.
4, 4, 5, 6. Yo, hey. First of all, honors to my brothers, man. It's like genuinely, all of y'all. I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you for just being stand-up people in the world. Look, I only fuck with brave people. At the end of the day, honesty and bravery are mutually inclusive things. So if you're brave enough to be honest, then you're honest enough to be brave. So when I shine a spotlight on anyone, it is me simply honoring, if not their bravery in the moment, their courage to aspire to bravery in every way, shape, or form. Look, there's too many weak people running around here pretending to be tough. I call them aggressive betas. They're full of the chest thumping. They're out here being loud and doing all that rah-rah shit. They're not making an impact on reality. The only thing that they're doing is trying to prove their value to other people by showing how aggressive they can be. That's not toughness. That's not bravery. That's bravado. It's weakness. It's cowardice. It's narcissism. I only edify and recognize people who are brave enough to face a mirror down and look at all the ways that they need to improve and all of their own deficits, and to make the decision to be better people every day. It's an honor to share the platform with these gentlemen. And hopefully they feel the same way. Guys, y'all got anything to close out with?
I greatly appreciate all of you guys for checking out this video. It's been a wonderful experience for me, and I absolutely enjoy it. I just love speaking to those who have lived in this life a little longer than I have, and I really appreciate you guys' input on it.
Thank you.
My brother.
I want to say thank you for my elders. Blessing to both of you. I'm sorry, the three of you. Because
Hey, don't say that. You older than I am.
okay.
Don't let this great fool you.
I got you by 6 months.
Thank you but no, yeah. But anyway, I'm thankful for all you guys. This has been a very. How many years has it been?
Shit,
Total?
since it was 6.
So almost 40 something.
That's almost 40 years, man.
Almost 40 years. So it's like I'm grateful for everybody. And then with this man, it was before my birth. So
Wow.
So I'm 44. So like the connections with all these gentlemen. Even this young guy, he keeps on talking about how young he is. He's not. Don't let him fool you. He's clowning. But it's just like at the end of the day, I'm grateful for everybody is here. I'm truly. It's a blessing.
Likewise, man. I think that adage that iron sharpens iron, man. You know, I only hang out with mutants like myself. I definitely only hang out with mutants like myself. So I'm just grateful, man, to be able to interchange all of this info, especially from my brothers who walk the same faith and found their path, individually. For the young man that brought a little more insight to the Mormon faith, I thought they basically just rode bicycles for their health. so now we know they really are.
They really just care about the
They
ecosystem.
care about the ecosystem. So, man, I really appreciate that. I've learned a lot. that iron sharpens iron, man. We have all gained another level.
Oh, yeah.
Power up, mutants. Let's get to the world.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Before we get off the air though, I haven't said this to Donald ever in life, right? But you were my inspiration to start lifting the weight. You were my inspiration. I thought this man was like, dead. No lie. Dude used to put a pencil between his chest and hold it there, stick it straight out like, ugh. I was like, one day I'm gonna be strong enough to do that. Do you remember that shit?
Give more credit to that. What else? What else? Come on.
I also have been gifted with artistic abilities. So when I say that the person who had me stop drawing eyeballs as a symbol and start drawing realistic eyes was this man right here. He probably don't even remember giving me that art lesson. But so growing up, it's like I was always looking at Donald like, Donald. He probably don't even remember.
I didn't know.
He probably don't even remember. He is my inspiration, my mentor in many things he probably does not ever remember.
Oh my God.
But I wanted to say that on camera for the world, all right?
Man, my brother.
Yes, indeed.
What you got, young squire?
I'm just happy to be here. It is an absolutely amazing experience here, and I mean, this sangria is top of the line.
It is top of the line. I've had 3 glasses.
Had to. It's one of the top bars shelf, bottle right here. The wine cellar. No, but this is really good. This was a great experience, and I believe that in the future I'm going to go in with more knowledge. In the future, when we do this again, if this so happens to bless my life again.
Oh, come on, man. Quit talking.
We're running it back.
Quit talking.
We gotta run it back. We gotta run it back.
Talk about my smile.
This time, let's close out with the turtle.
It's like, hey, uh-oh.
We on the island.
I like turtles.
Hey, we get it, yo, hey, check this out, yo. So here we is. It's like, man, we going on 2 hours. Man, gentlemen, this has been fire. Y'all already know what it is. You check me out. This is we shooting this obviously on Facebook Live, and I'm gonna tag all these gentlemen. But this is from my Facebook page. Y'all can check me out on Instagram, Avatar Cycle XIII. That's Avatar Cycle 13. You can also check me on YouTube, and then I'm on Medium as well. If for whatever reason you get any sort of appreciation out of these podcasts, you can always pass the collection plate. You can hit your boy up with Donna King and Cash App, and you can also you can join the Patreon family at Donald King Avatar Cycle XIII. All proceeds go to building this up to a larger platform because we want to have more things like this and we want to get more people involved. And we appreciate your help. Everybody, can you talk about the platforms you're on and how people can reach you? If you got anything that you want to share?
Hey, you can follow me on DLGV Radio, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We broadcast just being healthy, being good to one another, and we want to champion the community being one. Unity, Umoja.
Okay, cool. So tell them your name and then also I guess the specific place to find you if that's.
Oh yeah. So my name is James Cummings. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, Tumblr, Reddit, all at DLGV Radio.
Nice.
And I'll have some things upcoming, but not yet.
Not yet. We all working on this together. We building together.
Yeah.
We're building together. So everybody, y'all, we're at the end of the show. I'm just gonna say real quick, I'm gonna get back in the frame. I love my brothers, man. I appreciate these gentlemen, and thank y'all so much for tuning in with us. We appreciate you, and we gonna get you on the run back. We're gonna get you on the run back. Also, them sangrias on fire. Goddamn, that's all I'm saying. Goddamn. I'm not psychic, I can't see the future, but if I could, it would be because I've had those sangrias.
It's so good.
Hey, yo, we signing out. We appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much. All right.